Hi friends, in this video I'm going to talk about hermeneutic tradition and theories. So in a simple word, hermeneutic is a branch of knowledge that deals with the interpretations of literary text. So here we have to remember two things about hermeneutic, that it is an interpretation of a literary text and it is a meaningful understanding of the text. So now we are going to see hermeneutic traditions and the philosophers that were involved in that, the theories and some of the explanation. So now let's start with ancient hermeneutics. So it started with Aristotle. The focus was on understanding. So for Aristotle it was to understand what is beyond human understanding into a form that is intelligently understood or grasped by the human. So here you can see the explanation. Transmuting or changing what is beyond human understanding into a form that human intelligence is able to grasp or understand. So this is very simple definition of hermeneutic, where we are trying to interpret the text in a form where human intelligence or general understanding, in a general way we can understand the text. Now let's see about conservative hermeneutics. So in a conservative hermeneutics, the focus was on the study of techniques. So the primary concern is to gain interpretation of text, to gain understanding of them. This tradition is based on the view that meaning is relatively fixed and that is embodied in language structures. So what is important here is language structures. So the aim of interpretation is to use appropriate techniques to uncover that meaning. So basically the main focus here is language structures. So for that, to understand the language structures, we need to have some techniques. And that study of technique was the practice of conservative hermeneutics. Alright. Now let's see about the development of conservative hermeneutics. So the philosophers involved here is Friederich Schleiermacher and William Dilthey, and their focus was author's intentionality. It was shift into understanding the author's intentionality. The aim of interpretation is to reproduce the meaning of intention of the author. So when the conservative hermeneutics got developed, their focus shifted from understanding the language structure to the author's intention. Okay, so here the main focus is intention. Now, Friederich Schleiermacher further believed that for this approach to be successful, a person must be familiar with the language of the author. Now, firstly, in conservative hermeneutics, we were in the technique of the language. Secondly, we were into the intentionality. Now, we are going to understand the language of the author at the time when the text was written. So, maybe in classical period, the language used to describe some text was different. So, if we have to understand that text, then we have to understand that language of the author, so that we are able to get into the mindset of the author and we are able to understand the original lived experience. So this was the main part of the development. Now let's see Friederich Schleiermacher hermeneutical circle. So this is also very simple. It says that meaning of the part is only understood within the context of the whole, but the whole is never given unless through an understanding of the parts. That means you can understand the whole when you know the part. Similarly, when you know the part, you can understand the whole. It is clear, right? Yeah. So understanding therefore requires a circular movement. When you know the parts, you can know the whole. When you know the whole, you can know the parts. So by this form of dialectical interaction between the whole and part, each gives the other meaning and understanding. So this meaning and understanding is quite circular, and therefore it is called as hermeneutical circle. Now let's see about Dilthey. So Dilthey talked about the lived experiences. Okay. So knowledge in the social sciences was fundamentally different from that of knowledge in the natural sciences. So here they are making a difference between the knowledge of social sciences and the knowledge of the natural sciences. So history and our response to it becomes the key to unlock the secrets of human life. So here historical importance, we can find the historical importance. History has the secrets. History has a lot of secrets. So we have the capacity for self-interpretation, implies that we have the capacity to define and shape our own lives in response to historical situations. So if I will understand this in a way, I can say that if I want to understand the past, then I have to imagine that I am in the past and how I am adapting to the circumstances, situations, how my life is evolving, and then I can better able to understand that historical period. So it is all about history and our responses to it. That is the main part of the interpretation. That is called the lived experiences. Now let's see about the Edmund Husserl interpretation. So he believed that a split between subjective and objective thinking was ridiculous, since subjectivity gets its bearings from the very world that is taken as an object. So the world around is an object, and we as a subject tries to understand that world, tries to find out the meaning of that world, tries to find out the relevance of that world. So from Husserl on, words like understanding, interpretation, and meaningfulness are rooted in the dialogical, intersubjective, and conversational nature of human experience. So what we are doing when we are interacting with our surroundings, we are having a dialogue. We are having a conversation with the nature. And in this way, we are using our expressions to form our experiences. Okay. Now let's see about Martin Heidegger. So his focus was on ontological hermeneutics. So he abandons the term subject and he introduces his notion of Dasein, in which self and the world belong together in a single entity. So we don't have the world called, self and the other world, myself, other self. No, it is all belongs to the same world. So Dasein translates as their being and insists on the contingent situatedness of our condition in space and time. So we will always find ourselves in a set of spatio-temporal circumstances. They are never entirely of our own making and what we cannot leave behind at will. He also posited that self and world are not two beings like subject and object. Rather, self and world are the unity of the structure of being in the world. And with this emphasis, hermeneutics took a decidal ontological term. Okay, so now because self and others are the part of the same world, so therefore, if we want to understand them, then we have to use the same condition, use the same techniques to understand their structures and their interpretations. So it was about Martin Heidegger interpretations. Now we are into the moderate or philosophical hermeneutics. So it is Hans-Georg Gadamer. So in philosophical hermeneutics, it is not concerned with methods of interpretation and understanding. So right now we were all talking about how the methods of interpretation should be, how the understanding of interpretation should be, what could be the techniques, what could be the surroundings, how humans are fit into that surroundings. But now the situation is totally different. Now we are bothered about the question that enables our understanding. Now our focus is what kind of question we are asking to understand the situation. So here his theory is based on prejudice. So being that can be understood as language. All understanding is interpretation, it is quite clear, and all interpretation takes place in the medium of language. It is also quite clear. So Gadamer believed that we are conditioned by prejudices that are embedded in language. So because of language and their prejudices, we are quite conditioned with it, and therefore they limit our interpretive powers and prevents one from gaining absolute meaning. Because of prejudice, we are not able to gain the complete meaning of a text. But here, Gadamer is not negative about prejudice. So here we can understand. He says that we never achieve a complete or objective interpretation since we are limited by our own language and historical situation. And he further says that hermeneutics is not about the recovery of existing meanings, but instead the creation of meaning itself, and understanding is composed of both previous and new meanings. So when you're creating an understanding or interpreting a text, you are altogether developing some new meanings for it. So here it is further given that the philosophers of the Enlightenment erred in their beliefs that prejudices were purely negative and something which had to be overcome in the search for objective truth. On the contrary, Gadamer maintains prejudice is a necessary condition of all historical and understanding. So he is not negative about prejudice, but he rather says that it is a necessary condition of all historical understanding. So for Gadamer, our prejudices do not constitute a willful blindness which prevents us from grasping the truth. Rather, they are what we stand on to help launch our understanding. So prejudice is not stopping us to form our understanding, but it is helping us to form our understanding. Now let's see Gadamer's effective historical consciousness. So he believed that historical object and the hermeneutical operation of the interpreter is both part of an historical and cultural operation tradition or continuum, which he calls effective history. This continuum is the ultimate cause of the prejudices which guide our understanding. And because prejudices function as a necessary condition of historical understanding, Gadamer argues prejudices should be made the object of hermeneutical reflection. So here, for effective historical consciousness, we can see that prejudice has an important role to play. Now let's see the fusion of horizon. So he further defines horizon as the range of the vision. That what is horizon? When you are in a desert land, then you can see to a certain location. Beyond that you cannot see, right? So till the place you can see, you can form the understanding, but beyond that, which you cannot see, you cannot form the understanding. So there we have illusion also, that is there a source of water, or is there something which we are not seeing or which we are missing? So where we will find such kind of knowledge? It is by understanding our horizon, the range of vision, that includes everything that can be seen from a particular vantage point. So the horizon of the past, out of which all human lives and tradition exist, is always in motion, and the hermeneutic act brings the horizon of the past and present into fusion. So the past horizon and the present horizon, combining it, fusing it, mixing it, we can reach to the larger picture. So Gadamer enlarges our understanding of how truth does not necessarily exist in the world, but is continually fixed and unfixed in our continual relationship with the world. So for Gadamer, hermeneutic is not about locating or fixing truth. Rather, it is about the ongoing process of understanding the conditions necessary for understanding to occur. Alright, so this was about the Gadamer text. So hope you like this video. If you have any doubts, always raise in the comment box, and we will be discussing more on hermeneutics in our next video.